So following on from my video about Bronny James, as you can see from the title, this video is going to be about the rest of the Sierra Canyon players. And more specifically players that I think have a really good chance of reaching the NBA. Because when I was watching film of Bronny, just for my video I made of him, 3 main players stood out to me. 3 players that are definitely better than Bronny James. And as you all may know, Zaire, Dwayne Wade's son, is also on the Sierra Canyon Blazers, but he isn't any of these players, just so you know. He's a great player for his age, and I think he'll have a really good college career, but I doubt he'll ever make it to the NBA. Maybe the G League though. But without further ado, let's get right into these 3 players that I think will make the NBA. And first off, I'm going to talk about Brandon Boston Jr., who is arguably the best player on this team. With Boston Jr. being a 12th grader last season, he has already gone to college and has signed with the Kentucky Wildcats. For the class of 2020 coming out of high school, he was ranked 7th in the ESPN Top 100 and a 5-star recruit as well. He's listed as a shooting guard, but throughout high school and his 4 games so far in college, he's played far more like a forward. He does have a step back 3 that somewhat resembles James Harden's, but for the most part he plays like a modern NBA small forward. He's already 6'7" and will likely grow a couple more inches, and his wingspan looks to be around 6'10", 6'11". His biggest strength though is his athleticism and his ability to drive to the basket. He often uses his long stride to his advantage, and he's not afraid of taking contact. In high school, he was a pretty good 3-point shooter, but he's clearly having some issues adjusting to the college 3-point line. So far, he's only shot 17% from downtown, but he's only attempted 18 shots, so this is a very small sample size. BJ Boston does plan on staying in college for the full 4 years and will be eligible in 2024 for the NBA draft. By this time, I think he'll be one of the top prospects in the draft and will likely be a lottery pick. And next up, I've got Zaire Williams, who has also already left Sierra Canyon and gone to college. However, I'm quite surprised by the college he's chose to go to, as he had offers from Duke, North Carolina, South Carolina, Arizona and UCLA. But he's chosen to go to Stanford, which is obviously one of the best colleges in the world academically, but not too big on basketball. He's yet to declare what he's majoring in, but I can only assume he's pretty smart as well. For this season, he's definitely the main guy in the Stanford team, so he's going to have to develop into a leader, which could be very beneficial for him. And coming out of high school, he was highly ranked like Boston Jr., and he was only 1 place behind him at the 8th rank according to ESPN. And he's a very similar build to BJ Boston, only being an inch taller and being very lean and athletic like him too. One thing I love about Zaire Williams though is that he always goes after rebounds on both ends of the court, and as Kawhi Leonard famously said, bored man gets paid. In high school he was a great 3-point shooter, but has also had trouble adjusting to the further college 3-point line, and he's been quite inconsistent so far. In his first 2 college games, he shot 60% from 3 and then 50% from 3, but then in his next 2 games, he shot 10 3-pointers and missed every single one. I expect him to level this out though and shoot around 30% by the end of the season. He had a great debut though, with 19 points, 53% from the field and 8 rebounds too. If he continues to grow, I envision him playing like a baby Kevin Durant, with their similarities in build and versatile attacking abilities. With him likely staying in college for 4 seasons as well, it'll be interesting to see how far he can take the Stanford team in March Madness. And like BJ Boston, I think he'll be a lottery pick in 2024, or a second rounder if he goes a year earlier. The player that I'm most excited for though is Amari Bailey. Currently in 11th grade, he'll graduate from high school in 2022. And watching Amari play is just electrifying with how bouncy he is. Despite him being 2 years younger than Zaire Williams and Boston Jr., his upper body is already more muscular, and I'd say he has a higher vertical than them both. He's extremely agile when finishing around the basket, and honestly looks NBA ready in this sense. Although a lot of highlight reels will just show him making wide open dunks in transition, he's a lot more than that. Last season he was Sierra Canyon's best scorer with just over 15 points a game. Most of his points come at the basket, with him being great in transition and in the half court. One big advantage that I say he has over players his age is that his playstyle translates perfectly to the NBA. Over about 2 hours of Sierra Canyon film now, he hasn't taken a single mid-range shot, all layups, dunks and threes. And his shooting motion is really clean, far better than most players his age. And it's translating to his game too, with him shooting over 30% from 3 during his sophomore season. The scouts over at ESPN seem to agree with me as well, currently ranking Bailey 3rd overall in his class of 2022, and by the time he comes out of high school, I wouldn't be surprised to see him raised to number 1. With Zaire Williams and Boston Jr. both having moved on from high school to college, this should give Bailey even more room to grow and lead his team. And the thing is, I really can't see any standout issues with him that he needs to specifically work on. His defense is great like every Sierra Canyon player, so I assume they must work on this a lot in training. And like I said, his 3-point shooting and finishing at the basket is just incredible. The only thing I haven't seen much from him is assists, as he mainly creates his own opportunities, so he may need to work on his vision a bit. Nevertheless, I think Bailey will definitely make it to the NBA one day and will be a top pick. So there's who I think are the top 3 prospects to come out of Sierra Canyon. And honestly, after watching so much film of high school games, it's really fun to watch. It's really fast paced, and you see far more dunks than you would in an NBA game, just because the players are obviously a bit worse at defense as they aren't as developed yet. So yeah, I would recommend just going to watch some high school basketball just for the fun of it. And so that's all for this video. I hope you've all enjoyed, and as always, I'll see you on my next video.